Hey, what's up? It's Jim and I just got back from the new film Cloud Atlas. 6 different storylines between 1849 and 2346. Probably one of the most ambitious films ever made, and it's directed by the Wachowskis and Tom Tykwer. The 6 storylines, 3 are directed by him, 3 are directed by the Wachowskis, and each one kind of has something to do with one another, but also kind of doesn't. They're connected through, there's a protagonist who has a shooting star birthmark, and in the first one, apparently it was the Tom Hanks character who was kind of a villain, although I thought it was Jim Sturgis' character, really, but I don't remember seeing the birthmark in the first one. So in the second one, it was Ben Winshaw, and that's in the 30s. The first one is in 1849. The second one's in the 30s. The third one, which is in the 70s, the star tattoo person is Halle Berry. In the present one, it's Jim Broadbent. In the first future one, it's Donna Bay. And then in the last one, it's Tom Hanks again. And how these are all connected, I don't know, because they're all so very different. I mean, the first one's about the ship voyage and this guy who befriends a slave, and then the second one is about a gay man in the 30s who befriends a composer, and him and the composer start working together, and he composes the thing at the composer's house and starts living there and working for him. And then in the 70s one, Halle Berry is investigating a nuclear plant that's up to no good. And then in the present one, it's about a book publisher played by Jim Broadbent who owes a lot of money and is stuck in a retirement home. And then first future one is about a genetic clone who is freed from her strict life being a waitress in a chain restaurant. And then the last one's is supposed to be after, I guess, civilization has collapsed. Tom Hanks' character, and he meets up with Halle Berry, who's trying to see if there are other people beyond the stars. This film really reminded me of the D.W. Griffith film Intolerance, and that's a film that takes place throughout the ages. It doesn't have the future parts, but it does take place throughout the ages. But in that film, it's trying to show you intolerance, thus the title. There's a lot of things that are similar about those parts and that you can understand. There's a central theme through it that's a little more digestible, a little more understandable. But this film's trying to show how souls and reincarnation throughout the ages and how souls don't really die. And it's a little more complicated, but at the same time, I think it makes a lot less sense. And although this film is really ambitious, and I like how ambitious it is, you look at what they're doing with the actors, and they have a various group of actors playing, you know, various different people throughout the ages, but what is the purpose of them doing that? Why have Tom Hanks be the protagonist in one and then be the guy who runs this tenement house in another, or play this violent author in a third one? It doesn't really make sense why they're having these actors play these various parts. And is that the point of it? I mean, I couldn't understand if this was a flawed narrative, if they had failed at what they were trying to achieve, if they're being way too ambitious. The ambition of this film is greater than the actual quality of the film itself, and that's fun to watch and it's interesting to watch. But I'm never sure why they chose to do these things and why they chose to have these various actors do this stuff and play these different roles. Sure, it is showing reincarnation by doing that, by having these actors play different roles in different time periods. I just don't understand why have them be such different characters. Why not have more similarities between the various different actors? Like, why can't Tom Hanks be playing a certain kind of character that's throughout the ages, or Halle Berry or Jim Sturgis, or Hugo Weaving actually does seem to play kind of more of a villain throughout the film, but the other actors don't really have as much of a narrative with their performance. So it's kind of like, yes, it's showing me that, you know, that souls live on, and with the casting, it's helping the film show reincarnation and show how things don't, as much as they change, they stay the same through the ages, but there's really no purpose behind it other than showing that. The star birthmark is supposed to be one person, And that character changes. Is it like saying that under different circumstances you'd be a different person, which I think is very true. This is kind of a film that you really want to discuss and think about, but I feel like half of me was like, what the fuck was that? And the other part of me is like, wow, that was really ambitious. It's interesting to watch and see these actors even play different genders, and that doesn't happen too often, but different races and the various makeup jobs. And sometimes it's really amazing, the makeup jobs. Halle Berry as a white woman in the 30s, that was maybe one of the better ones, but then when you have Ben Whishaw as like this Asian freedom fighter in the future, that looks a little ridiculous. Same with Hugo Weaving playing this Asian character. It's not like I forgot who each of these actors were playing because of these makeup jobs. Donna Bay, she plays Ben Winshaw's wife in the 1840s, and she's this white, freckled, red-haired woman, but she's an Asian actress. That makeup job didn't really work. Some parts I'm really astonished at how ambitious they can be and how they pulled it off, and other times I'm thinking it's like ambitious to a fault. I'm just not exactly sure what they're trying to say with it, other than that everyone's very similar throughout the ages. I think Cloud Atlas is more about how it's about it than what it's about. It's such a weird, different kind of film, but it does feel like a Hollywood film at the same time. So it's one of the more fun film-going experiences, and an interesting one, and definitely feels like a mainstream one, but it's also very frustrating and strange. I don't really like this film that much. I didn't leave feeling like I just saw this incredible experience. As a film itself, it's just not that great of a movie. It's an alright movie, but it's just so uneven in all of it. It doesn't all quite come together. It's not clear what it's saying. It's so kind of freeform and odd, but it's kind of a little too out there for its own good. But that's also what I like about it. So, if you have seen Cloud Atlas and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to.